I was in Miami during a busy festival weekend. I had booked a hotel through my friend. She works for a big hotel chain and got a deep discount. However, I arrived late in the city and was unable to use that hotel booking. I had also lost my credit card recently, so I could not book a new hotel because I needed to put up a deposit. In a moment of urgency, I quickly checked Airbnb and found a 3-bedroom apartment with a balcony at a very reasonable price for the weekend. I booked it immediately and arrived only 30 minutes later. When I got there, I was very impressed. The entire apartment had 3 bedrooms, and it was just for me and my girlfriend. It looked amazing, and we thought we were very lucky to have a private space in the middle of the busy city during the festival. We had tickets to the festival 2 days later, and we planned to explore the city a bit before the event. That night, while my girlfriend was in the shower and I was relaxing in the living room, a family suddenly walked in. They spoke very little English: a young son, a married couple, and an elderly man. The wife, who spoke a bit more English than the others, told me right away that the living room was off limits for guests. She said I should move my things out of the master bedroom and into one of the guest bedrooms, because that was where I was supposed to stay. The apartment was listed as an entire place, but I had no other option. It was the only available space, and it was still a really nice apartment. Even though I was surprised by the change, I did not let it bother me too much. I moved my things as requested and settled into the new room. The next morning, something very strange happened. An elderly man came into our room without knocking, abrupt and unexpected. In broken English, he said he needed to clean our room. It had not even been 12 hours since we arrived. We told him that we did not need any cleaning at that moment. However, he insisted that he must clean the room every day. We tried to explain that we were not ready for a cleanup yet, and that we would be going out for breakfast, and he could clean then. After we left for breakfast, we returned to get ready for the day. That is when the atmosphere began to feel unsettling. The elderly man called me to meet him on the balcony. Using a translation app, he explained that the price on Airbnb was not the real price, and that we needed to pay him double the amount in cash. His words made my heart race. I had believed that the price was reasonable for a private apartment. Even if I had thought it was a bit high for a private room with a shared bathroom, the idea of paying double made everything feel very wrong. We were completely being taken advantage of. Out of desperation, and because I was a college student with little money, I agreed to pay the extra cash. I felt trapped with no other choice in a city where I had little backup. On the second morning, the first day of the festival, excitement and worry mixed inside me. We went to get our tickets from our backpacks and soon realized that both tickets were missing. I remembered clearly where I had kept them the day before, but now they were gone. I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach, as if I had lost something very important. With no other option, we decided to go to the festival and try to reclaim our tickets using our IDs at the ticket office. When I arrived at the festival, the staff informed me that the tickets had already been used. I could not believe it. It seemed that the elderly man had taken the tickets and either sold them or given them away. I felt anger and fear welling up inside me as I thought about the loss and the unfairness of the situation. Although the staff let us into the festival each day, we had to spend more than 2 hours every day waiting in line at the will call, each minute stretching the tension in the air. I did not want to pay the extra cash fee for the Airbnb, but after losing $800 worth of tickets, I decided I would not pay any more than necessary. The final day of the festival was Sunday, and we were scheduled to leave on Wednesday. That night, the atmosphere in the apartment grew even more tense. Starting Sunday night, the elderly man began sleeping in the living room, as if he were making sure we did not leave without paying the extra money. It was as if his presence was meant to warn us, and his eyes seemed to follow our every move. Even though he did not live in the apartment, his constant presence made the air feel heavy and uncomfortable. We felt trapped, as if we were sharing our space with a stranger who was always watching. The next morning, before checkout time, we decided to leave for Key West as quickly as possible. Early in the morning, we told him that we were leaving. He did not seem to believe us, but he did not try to stop us at first. However, as we prepared to leave, he followed us downstairs. I could see the determination in his eyes. He tried to grab our luggage. He even attempted to block our car from leaving. My heart pounded as I realized that we were in a situation that could have escalated quickly. We managed to get away without any real harm, but the feeling of fear and uncertainty lingered long after he had disappeared from sight. Later, the wife, who had acted as the host, claimed that we had damaged the room. She said that the amount we were being asked to pay in cash was exactly the amount needed to cover the damage. I knew this was not true, but at the time it added another layer of dread to our experience. In the end, we did not pay any extra money. I never reported the incident to Airbnb because I did not have enough proof that the tickets were stolen, nor did I want to spend more time and energy on a situation that had already caused so much trouble. I later heard that their account was shut down, and it all seemed to fade into a memory that felt both nightmarish and surreal. Looking back, the entire experience in that apartment felt like a slowly unfolding horror. I had come to Miami excited about the festival, but what I found was an unsettling apartment with unexpected rules and a strange family that made us feel uneasy from the start. Every day brought a new twist of tension, from the abrupt changes in where we were to sleep to the constant pressure of an elderly man demanding extra cash. The loss of our festival tickets and the threat of never leaving the apartment on our own terms turned what should have been a fun weekend into a long, nerve-wracking ordeal. The feeling of being trapped, watched, and taken advantage of stayed with me long after I left. Each moment was filled with uncertainty, and every unexpected action only added to the fear and suspense. I felt as though I was living in a slowly growing nightmare, where nothing was as it seemed, and every shadow held the promise of another unexpected twist. Even though I eventually made it out without physical harm, the memory of those tense moments and the unsettling behavior of the people in that apartment still sends chills down my spine. This story is shared not to scare you away from using Airbnb, but to remind both guests and hosts about the importance of clear communication and trust. For guests, always verify details and be cautious when something does not feel right. For hosts, clear rules and open communication can prevent a lot of trouble and fear. My experience in Miami was a lesson in how quickly a situation can turn from promising to frightening, and it is a reminder to always be alert and careful when traveling. I booked an Airbnb in a big Canadian city for myself and 3 friends. The listing showed a private suite in a large house. At first, the idea was exciting, a quiet space that felt unique. The house had several suites available for rent, and it looked like many of them were rented by different hosts. In our case, we believed everything was simple and straightforward. Before our trip, the host was very friendly and responsive. She explained that she would not be there when we arrived. Instead, she left instructions for us. The key was in a lockbox outside the building. All we needed to do was follow the directions to get inside. The plan seemed clear enough, and we felt ready for our stay. We had asked in advance if we could check in early, but the host explained that it was not possible because cleaners would be working at that time. We accepted this explanation and decided to travel with only our bags, planning to check in at the set time. Our arrival was scheduled about an hour after the earliest check-in time, so we felt there was plenty of time to settle in. When we got to the house, the first part of the process went as planned. We located the lockbox and retrieved the key with ease. We used the key to enter the building without any trouble. However, When we reached inside, we faced an unexpected problem. We could not find the unit number that we were supposed to be in. At first, we thought it was just a small mistake. We gathered as a group and began to walk through the large house. 5 of us, including a friend who was with us for support, though not staying the night, started looking for any clues that would lead us to our suite. We went down many hallways and looked at every door. We even tried our key on several locks in case we had been given the wrong instructions. Despite all of our efforts, we did not see any sign of our unit. While we were searching, I sent several messages to the host. I wanted to make sure I had not misunderstood her instructions or missed an important detail, but every message I sent went unanswered. I soon realized that she was not available. Without a direct phone number, I had no other way to reach her except through the Airbnb messaging system. As time passed, my worry grew. I decided to contact Airbnb support. When I explained the problem, they looked into the issue. They even had a phone number for the host and tried to reach her several times. Unfortunately, there was still no response. Meanwhile, my friends continued to search the large house. They checked each corridor and door, hoping to find any window that matched the photos from the listing. We even asked a few other guests if they recognized our suite, but no one could help. After more than an hour of looking, frustration began to build. I told the support team that I wanted to cancel the reservation. They hesitated at first, explaining that I had technically checked in because I had entered the building. I tried to explain that I had not been able to find the correct unit. I repeated my side of the story, saying clearly that, without being able to locate our room, I could not really be considered checked in. There was a lot of back and forth between me and several support agents, each asking for more details about what had happened. Eventually, after much discussion and waiting for any sign of the host's response, the support team agreed to cancel our reservation. They processed my refund, which was a relief at that moment. With no place to stay in the house and no other affordable Airbnb options in the area, we quickly made plans to go to a hotel. The situation left us all shaken and disappointed. A few hours later, when I thought the ordeal was behind us, I started receiving angry messages from the host. Her messages were harsh. She said that I was rude and that I had done something wrong. According to her, there was no problem with her unit, and I was lying about not being able to check in. I did not reply to these messages. I was too tired and still upset by the events of the day. A week passed and I received an email from Airbnb. It was a notification that the host had left a review for me. Because I had been marked as checked in for the brief period of time, even though I had not found our unit, the system allowed us both to leave reviews for each other. When I read her review, I was shocked. In her words, she claimed that I had entered the unit, used the shower, and left a huge mess behind. Moreover, she accused me of lying about being unable to get in so that I could cancel the reservation. I felt that her review did not match what had happened. I had explained many times to support what our real experience was. I contacted Airbnb support again and went over the events step by step. I explained that I had never really been in the suite and that the reservation had been canceled only because the unit could not be found. I asked them to check the details and notes that were made during our calls. After another long conversation with support, they looked carefully at both sides of the story. They eventually agreed that the host's review was not valid given the situation. They removed her pending review. I did not leave any review for her. Even now, I still wonder how it was possible that our group, along with a few other guests who wanted to help, could not find the unit in 2 long hours of searching. Looking back, the whole experience felt like a small nightmare. The plan had seemed so simple at first. A friendly host, clear instructions, and a promise of a unique place to stay. Yet, when we arrived, nothing went as expected. The silence from the host and the confusing layout of the house left us feeling lost and uncertain. The worry grew with every minute that passed without an answer. The situation was not just about a lost key or a wrong door. It was about the feeling of being alone in a strange place, where the basic expectation of clear communication and a safe space was not met. In a large building with many rooms, it is normal to feel a little lost, but this time the confusion was deeper. We felt abandoned by the person who was supposed to help us, and even the support team had trouble understanding our plight at first. Even now, I sometimes wonder where our suite was located in that large house. How could 5 people, along with some kind strangers who were kind enough to help us, search for so long and still not find the correct door? It is a mystery that I have not been able to solve. The memory of wandering through endless corridors and the mounting tension in the quiet halls stays with me. It was a lesson in how important it is for all details to be right when trusting someone with your stay. In the end, what started as a promise of a relaxing stay turned into a long, confusing search for a room that did not seem to exist. This experience has left me with a mix of emotions: disappointment in the way things turned out, frustration at the lack of response, and a lingering fear that something as simple as finding a room could become a real problem in an unfamiliar place. Even though I am grateful for the help I eventually received from support, the whole ordeal made me very careful about how I book my stays now. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, remember, you deserve clear communication and the help you need. Stay calm. Document your experience. Reach out to support as soon as you realize something is wrong. This story is a reminder to always double-check details and trust your instincts if something does not feel right. It was early November, and I was moving from Seattle to a small town in Texas for a new job. I had packed everything into boxes and hired a moving company to transport my belongings so I could take my time on a road trip. I wanted to enjoy the journey, stay at some Airbnbs along the way, and make a little adventure out of it. The whole trip was about 32 hours of driving, so I decided to break it up into 3 days, driving around 10 hours each day before stopping to rest. After checking my route, I realized that my first stop would be somewhere deep in the forests of Oregon. I opened Airbnb, looking for something cheap since I just needed a place to sleep before continuing my journey. I found a small cabin listing located just outside a tiny town, surrounded by thick woods. It was older but looked cozy enough in the pictures, and the price was much cheaper than other options. There was only one picture of the bedroom, which seemed a little odd, but I figured it didn't really matter since I just needed a place to crash. I booked it for the next night and went to sleep. The next morning, I packed the last of my things and started my drive. I left later than I wanted to, which meant I'd be driving in the dark for a few hours. The drive was peaceful at first, but as I got deeper into Oregon, the roads became narrower and the trees got taller. The farther I drove, the more isolated I felt. There were no streetlights, no nearby houses, just endless towering trees on both sides of the road. By the time I turned onto the gravel road leading to the Airbnb, I could barely see anything beyond my headlights. When I pulled up to the cabin, my stomach dropped. The place looked nothing like the pictures. The wood was aged and rotting. The windows were boarded up on one side, and the front door looked like it had been kicked in at some point and poorly repaired. Something about it made me uncomfortable, but I reminded myself that I was just staying for a few hours. I grabbed my overnight bag and approached the door. Most Airbnbs have a key in a lockbox with a code, but this door had neither. Instead, the door was slightly ajar. My first instinct was to turn around and leave, but I didn't have another place to stay, and I was exhausted. I pushed the door open cautiously and stepped inside. To my surprise, the inside was a lot cleaner than I expected. The furniture was old but well kept, and the place smelled faintly of pine, as if someone had recently cleaned. I walked through the small living room, into the kitchen, and checked out the bedroom. It was small, just a bed and a wooden dresser. I noticed something strange right away. There was a second door in the bedroom, but it was much shorter than a normal door. Maybe 3 feet tall, built directly into the wall. It had a small handle, but no keyhole. The door looked out of place, and something about it felt wrong. I thought about opening it, but something deep inside me told me not to. I decided I would just lock my bedroom door, get some sleep, and leave at first light. That night I woke up suddenly. At first I wasn't sure why, but then I heard it. A faint tapping sound coming from inside the room. My heart pounded. The room was pitch black except for the dim light from my phone screen. The tapping was slow and rhythmic, coming from the direction of the small door. I reached for my phone and turned on the flashlight, aiming it toward the little door. The tapping stopped immediately. I sat there, frozen, barely breathing. I wanted to tell myself it was my imagination, that maybe it was just the house settling or an animal outside. But then I heard something else, a slow, dragging sound, like something moving behind the walls. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my bag, and bolted for the front door. As I reached for the handle, I heard a creaking sound behind me. I turned just in time to see the small door in the bedroom slowly opening. The darkness inside was so deep I couldn't see anything beyond the frame. I didn't stay to find out. I threw open the front door, ran to my car, and locked the doors. My hands were shaking as I started the engine. As my headlights illuminated the cabin, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The curtain in the living room had been pulled back slightly, and behind it, a pair of eyes were watching me. I sped out of there, gravel flying under my tires. I didn't stop until I reached the nearest gas station an hour away. I sat in the parking lot, trying to calm down, trying to make sense of what I had just seen. The next morning, I checked my phone. The message I had sent to the Airbnb host asking about the door had been read, but there was no reply. I never reported what happened. I didn't have proof, and honestly, I just wanted to forget about it. But to this day, I still wonder, what was behind that door? And who, or what, was watching me from inside that cabin? If you're still watching in the dark, you're braver than most. Hit that like button and share it with someone who loves a good scare. And don't forget to subscribe. You never know when the next chilling stories will drop.